made Biden's pledge to not pardon Hunter the foundation of their defense of America, from which they can judge without shame, hypocrisy, or nuance.
Jon Stewart just dropped a bombshell on Biden and MSNBC. The crowd's reaction? Absolute mayhem. In a shocking turn of events, the liberal icon tore into the Democratic establishment, leaving no stone unturned. You won't believe what he said about Hunter's pardon. Before we move on, I'd like to ask you a small favor. If you appreciate this content, please take a second to like this video and subscribe to the channel. Over 98% of you watch the videos without subscribing. It costs you nothing, but it makes a huge difference to us. So, did you click the subscribe button? Great, thank you so much. Now, back to the video. Stewart's exposé on Biden's broken promises hit like a sledgehammer. He methodically laid out a pattern of unfulfilled commitments, starting with Biden's solemn pledge not to pardon his son Hunter.
Faith in the rule of law. Finally, Democrats have a moral perch.
President Biden has issued a pardon for his son Hunter Biden,
from which they can judge without shame, hypocrisy, or nuance.
The contrast between that promise and Biden's recent actions couldn't be starker. Remember when Biden stood before the American people, looking straight into the camera, and declared, "There will be no pardons or interference in the judicial process"? Stewart played that clip, letting it sink in before cutting to footage of Biden doing exactly what he swore he wouldn't. The audience's disbelief was palpable. But it didn't stop there. Stewart dug deeper, unearthing a treasure trove of Democrats singing Biden's praises. Clip after clip showed party leaders extolling his integrity, his commitment to justice, his unwavering moral compass. The irony was thick enough to cut with a knife. Then came the pièce de résistance, Stewart's masterful montage of Democrats attempting to defend the pardon.
This is what Biden's decision has done. Look how confident and eloquent our Democratic representatives were back when they thought they had the moral high ground on this issue.
People have to remember the president has lost 2 children already, and he does not need to lose another one.
I've not heard a single Democrat anywhere in the country cry fraud, cry fixed, cry rigged.
It was a parade of awkward pauses, stammered explanations, and transparent attempts to change the subject. One by one, these champions of accountability twisted themselves into pretzels, trying to justify what they'd previously condemned. As the laughter from the audience died down, Stewart's tone turned serious. He broke down how this blatant reversal undermines the Democrats' entire platform of moral superiority. Their constant refrain of, "We're better than this," rang hollow in the face of such obvious hypocrisy. But Biden's broken promise about Hunter was just the tip of the iceberg.
Hear a single peep out of any Democrat saying that why we believe in the rule of law.
The only reason why they went after Hunter the way they did, and I've talked to many federal prosecutors about this, is because he's the president's son.
And now look at what even he, one of the most verbally dexterous attorneys we have on Capitol Hill, has been reduced to.
Stewart methodically listed other commitments that had fallen by the wayside. Pledges on student loan forgiveness, promises to rein in corporate influence, vows to bring transparency back to government. Each broken promise was another nail in the coffin of Democratic credibility. As Stewart wrapped up this section, the implications were clear. This wasn't just about one pardon or one president. It was about a systemic failure of the Democratic Party to live up to its own standards. The crowd hung on his every word as he transitioned to the broader picture, setting the stage for an even more damning critique of the entire political establishment. Democrats have long painted themselves as the guardians of ethical governance. But what happens when their actions mirror the very behavior they've condemned in Republicans? Stewart's next bombshell would shatter this carefully crafted image, revealing a political landscape where hypocrisy knows no party affiliation. Stewart began by reminding the audience of the Democrats' relentless criticism of the Trump administration's ethical lapses. They had railed against Trump's alleged mishandling of classified documents, his questionable foreign relationships, and his perceived nepotism. The Democrats had positioned themselves as the party of integrity, promising to restore honor to the White House.
Do you think President Biden should pardon Hunter Biden?
So there are lots of claims of political prosecution.
And if that doesn't tell you who Joe Biden is, I don't really know what does.
I think I know what does.
And was Hunter politically
Well, I
prosecuted?
mean, obviously that's a judicial point, and then you've got to look at what the evidence is, and I don't know.
But as Stewart dug deeper, he exposed a troubling pattern within the Biden administration that bore a striking resemblance to the very issues Democrats had decried. He pointed to Biden's own mishandling of classified documents, a controversy that had been downplayed by many in the party. Stewart highlighted how this mirrored the accusations leveled against Trump, yet the response from Democrats had been markedly different. The comedian didn't stop there. He turned his attention to the Biden administration's relationship with Saudi Arabia, drawing parallels to the Trump-era policies that Democrats had once vehemently opposed. Stewart's examples piled up, each one driving home the point that the gap between Democratic rhetoric and actions was widening into a chasm. As the audience absorbed these revelations, Stewart built towards a scathing critique of the entire political system.
Enough
So
about
should the
other
president
cases.
pardon him?
I mean, again, that is a unilateral executive power, power.
Democrats stand for the rule of law.
Because the justice system that convicted his only surviving son is the same justice system he's vowed to protect.
And should he use it?
Well, the power exists for the president to show mercy for people.
He argued that both parties were engaged in a cynical game of rule-bending and norm-breaking. The Democrats, despite their lofty promises, had fallen into the same patterns they once criticized. Stewart's analysis reached its peak as he compared the political strategies of Democrats and Republicans. In a moment of brutal honesty, he declared, "Use the rules, use the loopholes, fuck the norms, but also use it to help people. Not just those people who are related to you." This statement cut to the heart of the matter, exposing how both parties manipulate the system for their own benefit while claiming to serve the people. As Stewart wrapped up this section, the stage was set for his final assessment of political hypocrisy.
I mean, we have an executive, and we have a judicial, and then a legislative, and then smoke bomb!
One political party remains committed to the rule of law, and the other doesn't.
Hunter Biden's not above the law. No one is above the law.
Made Biden's pledge to not pardon Hunter the foundation of their defense of America.
The audience, already reeling from the exposé on Biden's broken promises, now faced an even more unsettling truth. The problem extended far beyond one administration or party. Stewart had lifted the veil on a political culture where ethical standards were flexible and promises were made to be broken, regardless of party affiliation. Stewart's final assessment struck at the heart of political hypocrisy, exposing a system where both parties prioritize self-interest over public good. He emphasized that all Americans deserve the same breaks given to those in power, saying, "All of us are somebody's son or somebody's daughter, and we all need that break too." This revelation threatens to deepen public distrust in democratic institutions, potentially leading to long-term voter disillusionment and cynicism about the political process. Stewart's critique implicitly calls for real reform, including increased transparency and genuine accountability for politicians' promises. His words serve as a wake-up call, challenging viewers to demand more from their elected officials and to see beyond party lines. The path forward, Stewart suggests, lies in holding all politicians to the same standards and insisting on a political system that truly serves the people,